All right. So today, what I'm going to be doing is just a agency live and talking about what's going on in the agency world right now. So if you're an SEO freelancer or an agency, feel free to ask any questions that you have directly on the call. And basically, I just want to run through some of the things that have happened this week, which is pretty crazy. Some interesting times, especially if you're selling any sort of SEO service. But even if you're just an agency in general, I think this video is going to help you a lot. And we're going to get straight into it. We have one watcher on the call. Thanks for joining. Smash a like on the video if you're enjoying it. And feel free to ask any questions you have. So what I'm going to do is just share my screen and I will run through some of the stuff that's been happening lately. So you might have seen the Google Core update. And if I actually show my screen right here, I'm going to plug in something like AI SEO, for example, and you'll see that a lot of people are really worried about SEO and AI and the impact of it, especially after all the Google Core updates. Now, one of the most interesting things about this is that actually this has totally changed the game in terms of what you can sell. So, for example, if you went back to 2023 last year and you looked at the prospects of selling, say, human content to clients, everyone would have told you you're crazy if you're going to start up a content agency last year. But actually, if you look at the fear around agencies that have been hit over the last 12 months and the way that the AI agency game has been sort of tampered with a little bit, when you look at, for example, like lots of SEO influencers who got targeted in the latest Google Core update, you'll notice that there's a lot of fear around using AI content, which means that a lot of people are actually more confident about using human content. And that's a really good opportunity for you as an SEO agency. I can give you an example. For us, for example, our MMR for content previously was about 5K MMR. So we were making $5,000 a month off selling human content. And that's actually increased to $10,000 in MMR just over the last month, right? Which is a record for us in terms of content. Obviously, our link building MMR is much, much higher, but the amount of monthly recurring revenue we make from human content is just increasing like exponentially. There's a huge surge in demand because people feel unsafe using AI. Whether that's actually true or not, I'm not going to comment because I don't want to get clapped again. But it's very interesting to see how the market is changing. And actually, there's room for people who are selling content as a service, especially human written content. Now, the other thing that I've seen over the last week or so is sort of a change in the way that I actually view productivity. So previously, used to look at productivity as like, okay, I'm going to do something every hour. I'm going to schedule all my time. I'm going to make sure I'm busy and productive all day and getting stuff done. I've been reading this book by Cal Newport recently called Slow Productivity. Really interesting book if you haven't read it already. But he talks about how you should basically try and eliminate everything on your to-do list apart from maximum 1 or 2 projects that you work on per day. And this is something that I heard from Alex Hormozy as well. Obviously, pretty much a billionaire at this point, and he talks a lot about productivity. But essentially, you would just focus on doing one thing every day, clear out your whole schedule, focus on that one thing. But you give yourself a reasonable and even more generous time frame than you actually require to actually do that content. And additionally, you just focus on quality, right? So you do fewer things at a higher quality and you do it at a slower rate than most people would consider reasonable. And the reason for that is that it just gives you a more focus on what you need to do. And additionally, if you look at most agencies, I think this is why it's very applicable for me, for example, as the CEO of an SEO agency, is the fact that if you focus on one thing every single day, then you can do it at a 10 out of 10 level, right? So, for example, if I do a YouTube video on my SEO channel, I can afford to do it for like 30 or 40 or 50 minutes, go really, really in depth into that video, give as much value as I possibly can, which is only going to grow our agency. Whereas, for example, previously, if I was doing a little bit of Twitter, a little bit of YouTube on the SEO channel, a little bit of YouTube on the agency channel, etc., and doing like maybe 10 or 15 different projects per day and just being really busy all day and getting a lot done, I might only have the quality of everything that I do at like a 5 out of 10 because I just don't have the mental bandwidth to focus on all those things at once. We've got 2 people on the call watching. Smash a like on this video if you're enjoying it. But yeah, that's one of the game changers for this week. It's just focusing on slow productivity. I think that's going to change the way that I work in 2024. It's also going to level up the quality and the results of everything that we do. And I would, for me personally, in terms of stress levels, I'd rather just work on one thing, get really, really good and master that one thing rather than trying to do like 10 or 15 different projects per day. So definitely a great book to check out, which is Slow Productivity by the man, the myth, the legend, Cal Newport, who also wrote Deep Work as well. And this brings me on to something else that I've been thinking about a lot recently as an SEO agency, right? Which is marketing on Twitter, right? So previously, I used to market really hard. I had a full-time virtual assistant working on Twitter, pumping out content every single day, literally getting about 50,000 to 100,000 views per day on Twitter and just breaking the internet, right? And he would post a lot of content. But what I actually realized is that if I compared the amount of time and resources we allocated to Twitter, aka like a full-time virtual assistant, and I compared that versus the output of the number of sales calls that we got, so number of tweets and the time spent per tweet versus the amount of sales calls that we actually got from that channel, it wasn't particularly big, right? And we've just got a question from David, and I'll come on to that Twitter topic in a section because there's something else I want to mention on that. But he says, hello, do you use any software to organize your to-do list? Yeah, so what I actually do is I have a Trello board. It's kind of like a Kanban board. It has my habits on the left. So it tracks as a streak everything that I need to do every day. And based on this new idea of slow productivity, maximum things I'm going to have on that particular to-do list is like maybe three things maximum per day that I need to do. And that might include, for example, doing a YouTube video every day, doing like a daily checklist after 4 p.m. So like a bunch of just admin tasks I have to do every day to keep things moving. And then additionally, also a agency live. So I want to produce more content on this agency channel. Agencies are like our best clients to work with, agencies and freelancers. So I want to create more content and give more value. And it also helps me become a better agency owner if I keep producing more videos. The thing I would say about this channel is it doesn't get much attention. I don't think there's a big demand, but actually if I look, I'd rather get 10% of the views for, maybe 10x of the income because agencies are worth a lot more to us as a client for SEO. So yeah, Trello, manage your habits. And then what I have after that is basically the whole week laid out, right? So I have a Kanban board that's like, right, here's my habits. And then it's got a whole Kanban for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, etc. And that just allows me to create cards that I can schedule over the week. So I can easily figure out, okay, I need to do this on Tuesday, so I'm going to assign that task to Tuesday or Wednesday or whenever it is. Then I have different Kanbans on the same board, so it's like a different column basically. And it has like the references, so useful information that I can come back to, waiting list, thinking sessions, even like SOPs for traveling and stuff like that. For example, like I'm in Vietnam and I'm doing the SEO Mastery Summit this week. And essentially during that period, there's a lot of stuff that I need to remember to do whilst I'm traveling. And if I forget, then I've got this whole checklist I can run back through and just remind myself, right, here's what I need to pack, here's what I need to do, here's a SIM card that I need to make sure I install, etc. And that keeps me organized when I'm traveling. And bear in mind, like, for example, a couple of weeks ago, I was in Poland. This week, I'm in Vietnam, going to Estonia in June, going to have my family over on holiday soon as well. So I'll be traveling with them. So I travel all the time. And anything I think that you do routinely, you want to make sure you have a checklist for. So yeah, just to recap, Trello board, and it's got the habits, it's got days of the week, it's got references, useful information, and then a bunch of SOPs for different tasks that tend to reappear over the week. So just coming back to that idea of Twitter as well, here's the other reason that I've stopped posting on Twitter. And I think I'm only going to focus on agency content on Twitter for now. So I'll tweet directly for agencies, but I won't be talking about SEO so much on that channel. That's simply because if you look at all the influencers that got hit over the last month, since the Google Core update came out, so basically a bunch of influencers got manually targeted for the content that they were speaking about. They all had a Twitter presence, right? So for example, I think it was Shauna Newman. She had like 18 sites manually taken down. There was Niche Site Lady, Jesse Cunningham, myself, Jackie Chow. We all have a presence on Twitter, right? And we're all manually targeted. And we all got a little bit of a clap. Whereas if you look, for example, on YouTube, there's much more crazier stuff going on YouTube. But I don't think that Google pays much attention to what people are talking about on there. So, for example, you'll see people still posting content about auto blogging or all sorts of black hat techniques related to SEO on YouTube. Google doesn't pay any attention, doesn't manually clap any of those people. So that's why I think that truly Twitter is a bit of a it's a bit of a dangerous ground to post SEO agency related content. So if you're trying to get clients, I would recommend sticking to YouTube, not Twitter, and just being really careful. The other thing that I've set up now as well is like if I do tweet anything, I've actually got an auto deleter. So I've signed up to tweetdeleter.com. And essentially, every 2 weeks, that'll just delete all my old posts, right? So, for example, if Google ever decide to like manually go after influencers again on Twitter, you won't see any of my content. You won't see any of my posts directly on there. And hopefully that just reduces the risks. It doesn't mitigate everything. And that's why I'm just going to focus on agency content as well. But it does reduce the risks of being a target. So yeah, that's it. And then that also comes on to tracking sales. So one thing that I've been doing, and I do this every day, but I've been doing it for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. One thing that I realized continuously as an agency is that despite everything that we do, we have a Facebook group, we have LinkedIn, we have Twitter, we have an email list, we have YouTube content, we have a blog, etc. If I actually look at where most of our sales calls come from, this is something to pay attention to as an SEO agency. The 80-20 of it is still YouTube, right? And so I think if you want to get clients in 2024, then just focus on YouTube. Like that is probably the most powerful way to get clients for your SEO agency. And the beautiful thing about that is if you start posting content today, you could potentially start landing clients within days of posting your first video if it's good. So yeah, that's just a few things. And then the final thing that I want to touch off on is we actually posted an April Fool's video this week about basically just joking around on April the 1st and saying that SEO is dead, etc. And that I'm going to use Ask Jeeves instead of Google in the future. But what I'd recommend as an SEO agency is doing something like that. Just schedule it in every year, right? So if you can do some sort of April Fool's joke, it's going to connect with your audience massively. It's one of our top performing videos this week, and it will help you get more clients. So yeah, definitely recommend that. So just to recap, we have talked about slow productivity, Twitter, tracking sales, content sales, April Fools, and additionally how I manage my to-do list using Trello and Kanban boards. So that's pretty much it. If you want to book in a free SEO strategy session, feel free to book that in. Links in the comments in the description. Thanks, David, for your question, and appreciate anyone who's watching the replay as well. Catch you on the next one. Cheers. Bye-bye.